The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome everyone to Straight from the Paws. Today I have my cohort here, Beverly.
Hi.
Hi Bev, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good, glad to see that and hear that. So today we're going to talk about our outreach program.
Oh, that's right, I remember that.
You do? Well,
we haven't done a show, just the two of us, in a long time.
I know, it's been kind of sad, but here we are together.
We are.
So we're going to do this show, and the outreach program, our coordinator's name is?
Diane Cody.
Diane Cody, but Diane Cody doesn't like to come on the air.
Well, she was unavailable to come at this time anyway, but that's okay. We told her we'll take care of it for her.
We will.
Because we do a lot of it with her and some of it for her.
Right, and I think the problem is that I tend to give people titles.
Titles.
And sometimes, you know, they just say okay and they take it on, but the outreach program has sort of changed from what it was originally with Diane. We used to have volunteers and she used to go to PetSmarts and the pet goes, or go to Walmart and collect money and all that.
Well,
since
COVID changed a lot.
Right, we haven't done that.
Yeah, COVID changed a lot of our outreach program. But I have to say, we're still very involved in outreach because you, as the president, get a lot of phone calls. She gets phone calls from colleges, from high schools, from auto dealerships, from, let's see,
high schools.
We did the high school. I said the high school.
These high schools.
High schools, car dealerships.
I get insurance companies,
homes,
banks.
Different kinds of schools, alternative schools. There's so many people that call that want us to go to them.
Right. So let's just talk a little bit about that. So right now, if you want to contact me instead of calling the shelter, because sometimes I don't work there, so I don't always get the messages, you can always call 508-678-0804. That's my number in the office at home. Or if you want to email me, just do gfurtado@foreverpaws.com. For example, Diane is working on a program with the Dighton seniors.
Correct.
She's going to go, they want to know something about working with older people taking on small dogs and what would be appropriate for an owner. So I talked to Diane about it, and she's going to take a friend with her, and we both know Diane has some little dogs.
Correct.
So she's going to bring their dogs and show what kind of behavior dogs are not supposed to have.
But they do.
But they do have. So luckily she knows how to take care of them. So she's going to be doing that. This coming week, sometime, I'm going to be going with our Vice President, Susan Jones. We're going to be going to Durfee High School. We do career days. And what do we do at career days?
Well, I know what you do at career days.
Okay.
So if I would like to share that. In the animal field alone, there are multiple careers, from law enforcement to grooming to vet care to hands-on to management.
Animal care specialist, don't forget
Animal care specialist, the veterinary health care program at BCC, which is helping a lot of the students get into this field. And there's dog training.
Yeah.
There's police work. There's just so much in the animal field. So at the Durfee High School program, you are bringing flyers, brochures, information that the students who are interested in animals can have to open their eyes and to all the different things we can do.
Right, and then also Mass Hire, last year at least, that they were there as well. And Mass Hire, we can actually hire, we can't hire them, but they can apply, and if Mass Hire hires them, we are a site that they can come and get an idea of what it's like to work at an animal shelter, get an idea if that's something they want to do. So that worked out really well. So I would just say to the students, well, if you want, we're interested in a summer job. Okay, go to Mass Hire, because we just can't hire seasonal, as you well know. We can't do that. So the kids, the kids don't understand that. We explain that to them. We get, the kids always come over to the table. Of course, we entice them like everyone else does with candy. We pick up the candy.
I love the candy bowl.
Yeah, we bring the candy bowl, which is a food bowl from a dog.
A dog bowl, correct.
And then we also have, we bring the wand and the microchip dog that we have, and we show them how we, microchip and see how important it is to have the chip in the dog. And they ask questions. And like I said, I've got I've got reptile information, I've got marine biology information, aquarium, zoology. So we try to, you know, change it up every year, and the kids seem to enjoy our, you know, our group, and we do that as well. We have gone to Diamond Vocational and worked with them. And then we also I have groups that call me, like if you work in an insurance company or a bank, they have to do career days. They have to go out and volunteer days, I should say.
Yes.
And they come and they helped us out. And you take care of the ground, so explain something that they might do at the shelter.
So a lot of times, as far as outreach is concerned, we'll get a call. I'll use a company like Alex and Ani, which came in the past.
They did, yeah.
So Alex and Ani was a very big jewelry company, and they had about 40 people that they wanted out in the community doing community service work, and they would have gotten paid at that day. So they called us up, spoke to you, I believe,
Yeah, I worked with them.
and we had to find work for 40 people for one day. I believe it was a Saturday. Let's just say it was a Saturday in the summertime. And we had all 40 people working at a given time. We used the animals in the building, we used cleaning in the building, we used outside grounds work, we had painting. We actually had people painting rocks. We had cinder blocks.
Yes,
Remember
we
that
did,
time?
yep.
We had cinder blocks that we were saving to make a border, and they painted all the cinder blocks in color. We had them painting a fence, and then they rotated. I remember the dog walkers became painters, the painters became dog walkers, and that was all community service, our community outreach. There is a lot that we've actually done with this community outreach program, and we've kept Diane very busy.
We have, and we do like going. Bev and I also did the neighborhoods in Fall River, the neighborhood
Oh, the neighborhood
associations.
associations.
We went to
that
the
was
neighborhood
community
association.
outreach.
Right, we did. We went to mostly all of them, I think. Not 100%, but most of them. We called them up. We said we were available, and some of them took us up. You know,
Sometimes we brought an animal.
Right. We went to Alan Sylvia's group, and we went over there, and we did a whole bunch of different. We did different groups, and that was fun too, because we let the community know. And some of them were like, "We didn't know you," and they had animals. Well, we didn't know there was Forever Paws in the shelter.
And one of the things that we'd like our audience to know is that Diane always needs volunteers to do outreach. We've had people come on our show that are interested in volunteering, and we tell them all you have to do is call the shelter number, 508-67-80804. Nope, that's not the right number.
That's the number for outreach.
That's the number you gave,
that's
right?
That's the number for outreach, which is the correct
The
number
correct
to call.
number. You call that number and say that you would like to participate in some outreach programs, and then we'll connect you up with Diane.
Right.
Diane needs helpers if she's going, let's say she's going to a fair put on by the city of Fall River around the 4th of July, so let's say like a celebration, and there are vendor tables out there where people show all their wares. They allow Forever Paws to come and have, sometimes Diane brings an animal or two, and she'll bring flyers, and she'll bring brick information if you're interested in purchasing a brick. She'll have a penny jar there, what we call a penny jar, where you can put donations in. So Diane does a lot of this work, and she needs helpers. So if you call that number, or you call the shelter number, which is
508-677-9154.
correct, and say that you're interested in helping Diane with her outreach program, that also would be amazing, because she does need helpers. During COVID, she had a lot of helpers, and then they dwindled away after
Right.
COVID was over and her program changed.
Right, but again, I think that we, Forever Paws, we want to be part and active in the community. Recently, Bev and I went, and Henry Lord, they have a Rotary Club.
It was a teenage Rotary Club, yes.
And so they had collected some wares, you know, stuff for the shelter, and then we went in and we did a presentation to the class, the group. It was like 10 or 11 youngsters, and then they gave us, you know, their donations, and we put that out, you know,
That's all
on
part
our
of
Facebook.
our outreach.
But that's part of our outreach as well. We do go to schools. Some of us are, Bev and I included, are former teachers. So I'm better with teenagers. Bev's better with the younger kids. And so we go and we do a presentation. If a teacher wants us to go into a classroom to teach about how to handle a dog or afraid of the dog, we work on that as well. But again, it has to be someone that's knowledgeable. You can't just go in and make up the stuff as you go along, because
Right.
that's not going to work.
Especially when you go into the schools, because the children will ask questions.
They do. They have very good questions.
They do. I remember going into the elementary school. We went into, I think it was Holy Name.
We've been to Holy Name, went to Tansy School.
Tansy School. We've been to elementary school, and the kids will sit all around in a circle, and we'll educate them on an animal. We'll either bring a real one or some artificial ones. We have big artificial ones that we bring, and
They're
they will
called
ask
stuffed animals.
questions. Yeah, the stuffed
Big stuffed animals we have for training.
Not the real,
Yes.
not the real big
Not
dogs.
artificial, no.
But we do a lot of outreach, and if you're interested in volunteering, that's another thing you can do to help us at Forever Paws.
And you will be trained to do it. It's not like we're going to say, okay, you go out and you do this, and then I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, you'll have Diane, you'll
Right.
have Denise, you'll have Joyce, you'll have Bev, you'll have Gail. All of us are there to help.
Right. Once we get people started again and people can go out and do that, we would greatly appreciate it. We want to give back to the community, and it's very important, especially with the younger, for the younger kids in schools and stuff. I think that's a really good outreach program that we're willing to do, but we have to have the time to be able to do it. And that is part of what this whole thing working with, Fall River Media here is that we want to get our information out into Joe Public so that you know what's going on, what's available to us, but you can also share it with other people, and hopefully we'll find out that eventually, what goes around comes around. It helps our animals, but it also helps our community people, and that's very important to Forever Paws. All of us are local here to Fall River. I think most of our board members are in Fall River, maybe 1 or 2 in Dartmouth and Swansea, but that's okay. We care about our community in Fall River, and we want people to understand that. So if you're interested, again, for our outreach program, just call 508-678-0804 or use my email, just gfurtado@foreverpaws.com. Would really appreciate your help and look forward to you to joining our team.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
for having me here today.
Thank you for coming.
Great. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Straight from the Paws. I'm Beverly, and I have with me a guest today, Cherrie Robinson. So Cherrie's been a volunteer and a foster at the shelter for quite some time. So Cherrie, first of all, tell us, how long have you been coming to Forever Paws?
For volunteering?
Yes.
A little over 4 years.
Wow, it's already that long, huh?
Yep, a little over 4 years.
Wow, so-
Went by
and-
fast.
Yeah, and you do a lot of stuff. We want to tell everybody, what do you actually do when you come to the shelter?
We help with cleaning out kennels. All kennels have to be cleaned before 11 o'clock. I basically work with the cats and kittens kennels if I'm doing kennels. Sometimes the rooms that have the free roaming room where the cats are not in kennels. Those are fun. And laundry. Lots and lots of laundry. And washing dishes. There's lots and lots of dishes to wash. Washing floors. When the weather's nice, I sometimes take the smaller dogs for a little walk.
Outside.
Yeah.
And we haven't had nice weather in a long
No,
time.
but in fact, I did do it this morning because I got a little attached to the little old girl that's...
Mabel?
Mabel.
Yeah.
And she hadn't gotten out to walk yet, so I took her out to walk, and she took a little walk.
So during all of that time, I guess you've been there a long time, you've seen a lot of yellow shirts.
Yes.
So the yellow shirts was Bev's idea. I
Yes.
came up with the yellow shirts, and the reason I did was I wanted the visibility of the volunteers. Before the yellow shirts, you wore whatever you wanted to when you came into the shelter.
Must
And
have
we
been
couldn't
confusing.
tell, we couldn't tell who was a volunteer, who was a customer, who was a worker. So I came up with this brilliant idea, let's make the volunteers visible. And I do get a lot of complaints about the color yellow. And
But
I
once
just
we know
ignore it.
why, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
It does, doesn't it? You can
it
see
does make
yellow
sense,
shirts
yes.
immediately.
Yep.
And you know who's volunteering, you know where they are, you know what room they're working in, as opposed to a customer. And in the past, believe it or not, we've had missing kittens. Little kittens
Wow.
would disappear right out of the shelter. And we didn't know, where'd the kitten go? We didn't know. We didn't know a volunteer was in the room, a customer was in the room. So having the yellow shirts really changed everything. If it's not a cranberry shirt and it's not a yellow shirt, if somebody's in a room, then they're a customer. And then we should have an employee or a volunteer be in there with them.
Yeah.
And that made the biggest difference in the world. So yes, I know people don't like my bright yellow, but it serves a great purpose. It really, really
Yeah,
does.
it does. Makes it easy to
It
find
does
us.
make it easier. So we want to say thank you very much for volunteering at the shelter. That's a wonderful thing. and you just see all the yellows. Also, as a volunteer, we came up with this new program where a senior volunteer, not in age, but a senior volunteer who's been there for an extended period of time, trains a new volunteer.
Yes.
And I think that started last year.
Yeah,
We
about
started
then,
doing
yeah.
that program. In the past, a volunteer would come in on the very first day and not know what to do. And
Yes.
they'd walk around and we say, find a cranberry shirt. And then the cranberry shirt would kind of say, okay, go do that, go do that. And it took away from what the staff had to do. Not
Yeah.
that your job is less important than the staff, but the staff has a deadline.
Right.
As you know, you just said yourself, everything has to be done by 11
Yes.
o'clock.
Yes.
So at 11 o'clock, the customers come in, and all the animals have to be fed,
Yeah.
cleaned, medicated, and evaluated. All of that has to be done before 11.
Yep.
So if you have a new person that does not know what to do, follow you around, all of a sudden you're vaccinating an animal, you forgot about the volunteer. And the volunteer just standing around doing nothing. So we came up with we had a serious meeting between Ariana, Joyce, and Gail, the president, and we came up with this plan. Well, why don't we have senior volunteers train the new volunteers? And that worked.
Yeah, they asked us about it, you know, what we thought before you went on to do it. And it's been working out. I think it's a good idea.
It's a better idea, I
Yes.
think, than having the
'Cause
staff.
when I went in, I was kind of lost for a
You
while.
were lost. Right, but the good volunteers figure out what to do in no time, even when they're lost. Like, I can pick up a broom and do this, I can
Yep.
do this, I can do
Yep.
that. So yeah, I think it's made a big difference in the volunteer work. And we do know we have some that are short-term volunteers. They come
Yes.
in and
Yeah.
they're only doing 20 hours, so we train them for 20 hours and they're gone. That's why I personally don't like the 10-hour volunteers. By the time you get them started, they're gone.
Right.
So we try to really stress at least 20 hours is the minimum when you come to volunteer. Now you wear another hat, and this is a very, very important hat. Over the years we've had Denise here. Denise is our foster coordinator.
Yes.
And she gets people to foster animals that need help. And we know for a fact that you're one of the best fosters we've had. And you take a long-term foster. So in your opinion, what does a long-term foster mean to you?
They stay with me a lot longer. It's usually either a medical reason that they're, you know, recovering from something. They're waiting to go for spay or neuter. Sometimes it's just the small animals that if they're going to be waiting a while before getting a spay or neuter, it's not comfortable for them to be with all the dogs barking, and it makes them nervous. So I take them home and they stay at my house until everything is done medically that they're ready for adopting.
So you've had dogs and cats
Yes.
and puppies and kittens
Yes.
and senior dogs.
Yes.
You've had all of them. What
I
was
like
your
my senior dogs.
You like your senior dogs?
My senior dogs and chihuahuas.
Those are your favorite fosters?
Yes.
Have you adopted any?
Not since in this past 4 years. I did adopt from Forever Paws probably 15 years ago, and it was a senior poodle that I had for, I think, 9 years. He lived to be 18. But
did,
yeah.
yeah.
But I like being able to take them home. They get to relax. You know, sometimes they just need social interaction. I do have dogs, so they get social interaction with dogs along with people. And when they're doing great, they get to go to a nice home. I especially like being able to talk to the different people that are interested in taking the dog and adopting.
I was there one day when you actually brought the dog from your home
Yes.
right directly to the adopter. How do you feel letting them go?
It's tough, but you go into it with the thought that you're going to get them ready for a home. So, I think my toughest one was the last one I had, the little one, Petunia.
Petunia.
She, because of her injuries and that, it took a
Yeah.
long time for her to recover. But
So
yeah.
you had her for like 6 months?
I had her for 8 months.
8 months.
One of the couples that came to meet her, they were so nice. It was a retired couple. They had a pug before that passed away. They were so nice that it made me feel so comfortable it was okay to let her
8
go.
months and then you let her go. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so fostering is a tough job. And we were talking about it on another show previously with Denise, how we have foster failures. we have animals that die in foster.
Yes.
We have
I've had
emergency.
two.
You've had that too.
I had 2 hospice
Oh,
dogs.
you had 2 hospice
2
dogs.
chihuahuas that we were hoping when we could bring them
Oh my God, I
healthier.
could cry
and
just thinking about it.
the funny thing is, the first foster dog I had was a little white chihuahua. She was 10 years old, and I had just filled out my application. They didn't even know my name yet, and they brought her out and they said her name was Mrs. Robinson.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God.
Because that's Cherrie's last name,
That's
right?
my last name.
Cherrie Robinson.
And so when I was first volunteering, that's how most of the staff called me Mrs. Robinson, because they remembered Mrs. Robinson from that.
Yeah.
And they would be like, I can't remember your first name. And so they would just call me Mrs. Robinson.
So that was one of your hardest ones to let go.
If she passed away, I was able to take her to the vet and hold her while that happened. She was very, very fearful of people. She was blind and almost deaf, but she got along well with my poodle that I had at home, who was almost blind and was deaf too.
God.
But he lived in that house, so people didn't know. He would just walk
Yeah.
around and he knew where he was. And it'd be funny because she took to him and she would sniff and find him and she would follow him around the yard.
Wow.
I said, but she doesn't know it's, he's blind too.
So this is the reward for fostering.
Yes, yeah.
It's emotional, and sometimes it hurts when we lose them. But like Denise and I were talking about the importance of giving them a safe place until they go.
Yes.
So nature's going to take over anyway.
Right, right.
Illnesses are going to take over. Cancers are going to take over. We don't know what's going to take them, but they're not on the street.
Yep.
They're not getting hit by a car. They're not getting eaten by a wild animal. They're in a loving home and until their end. And even though it bothers us as humans, it's still the best thing for the animal.
Yeah.
And it's tough. So you wear these 2 hats all the time at the shelter. And I know Denise has you on her speed dial. So when anything comes in, boom, call Cherrie. And you and I actually shared fosters.
Yes.
Was it I forgot, was it cats or puppies?
The puppies that you just had.
The puppies, we shared them,
The
that's
cotton.
right.
I don't know the full name.
Touliers, right, we had the cotton to Touliers.
You had the puppies and I took the mama when.
You took the mama because she didn't want to feed them anymore.
Right, there was time to
That's
wean.
right. She didn't want, and she kept jumping out of the playpen. I had the puppies in the playpen. She kept jumping out of the playpen. And I was like, these poor puppies, what are we going to do with them? And the problem with the puppies was they saw her and they wanted her because they
Right.
want their mommy.
Yes.
And she's like running away, running to another room,
Yes.
run outside in the yard. And she just did not want anything to do with those puppies. And once you took the mama, then the puppies calmed down.
They settled
and I was
down.
able to feed them. We fed them, puppy milk. They weren't on bottles. They were already old enough not to be on bottles. And I fed them the puppy milk mixed with the dog food, and we started feeding them the dog food. But that was a chore. That was really
A lot of work.
all I did was pick up poop.
Yes.
For those 2 to 3 weeks, all I did was pick up poop. Well, Cherrie, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you coming on our show today, and we'd like to have some of the pictures that you have of your fosters, and we'll probably put them up on the feed
I have a lot
too.
of them.
Yeah, so thank you so much for coming, and we really appreciate
welcome.
your volunteering and your fostering. Again, thank you, Cherrie, for
Thank
coming on
you.
our show.